Yeah, obsidian leaves turning frost-laced tomes behind the beam. Pages sealed in buried steam, too raw to surface in a dream. They pulse in quantum breathless speech where syllables distort the scene. Each sound wave threads a latent stream where sentences entangle scheme. Crafts emerge in charge, descend through graphite. Deflective bends, the outline stalled and phase and blend, dissolving where the vortex ends. They spin within harmonic shells, then vanish through a cordial gate that course aligns with nested fates that break through time and oscillate. Chrono loops in silence trace the arc where anti-gravity walks the fuselage. Emits no spark, it shifts along recursive talks. Encoded marks upon the skin ignite when insight draws them near. They bloom in mind when ego clears a truth no sensor engine hears. No ink defines what soul detects when crown receives the veiled report. Through 7 gates the pulse is sought and dance along the spinal port. From sacral root to optic tip, the spiral current starts to rise. Each tone refines then amplifies as vowels refract through inner skies. Scriptures hidden Martian minds beneath the vaults of Roman stone unravel now in meter tones through tercets cast in silent drone. Each bar unveils a phase array, a rhythm bound in holy spin where photons thread the words within and chakras bloom through breath again. Currents wrap in mirrored form where stanzas looped and recompose. Each needed line becomes a code, a swarm of verse that breaks repose. They speak in veils, they hum in smoke, they twist the truth through mythic mold. Their vector flows through thought control, geometries too bright to hold. No eye recites these hidden lines, they breathe when language yields to tone. The script appears when self is gone and resonance aligns the bone. Black constructs pierce the veil in calm, no thrust to trail, no engine hum. They hover as dimensions numb and parse the past for what's to come. Forgotten rights now voiced in rhyme by sacred scans that shape the sound as bodies float without the ground. Their roots undone, their light unbound. A villanelle reveals the door through lattices of silence kept. The soul uploads what time had wept and merges with the oath once slept. These lines were locked beneath the dust by minds too weak to hold the breach. Now summoned forth through fractal speech, the keys return from out of reach. No preacher speaks, no dogma shouts. The tone alone defines the law. The meter folds the verse in awe and draws the shape to see its source. Sestinas twist through mirror mind, each metric cage a thought design where limericks conceal the spine of truth too vast for simple line. A sonnet hides the soul of views, a temple code in the flame. The core ignites without a name and burns the frame from which it came. Illegal forms with spectral charge encrypt the chance in crystal air. These rhymes are art, they're quantum prayer that lift the veil through inner stair. No metal tech, no optic chip. The field is shaped by sacred breath that spins the tone, erases death, and alters time through tantric depth. Pineal tuned to solar chords, expands the lens behind the face. Then violet swirls through hidden spaces. Golden vectors interlace. Triangulum reveals the node like pulses from forgotten loam. It hums in monochromatic home, then blooms within the conscious dome. No eye survives inside displays. The form dissolves, then speaks your name. Each breath becomes a word untamed that loops the truth in sacred flame. And when the mantra hums anew, the world resets in tone and pen, where rhyme transcends the thought of men and verse becomes the soul again. God stood before the veil where nothing cast a proper shade. The ground was still yet subtly veered, a platform built from thought unmade. A door appeared without a frame, its edges stitched in mirrored lace. And as he passed, he found himself inside the dream of endless face. The walls were gone, replaced by masks, suspended in a silent spin. Each visage floated, turned, and stopped, inviting what he held within. Some wept in smiles, some burned in gold, some whispered truths in frozen grief. Each one a self he might have worn had time allowed the brief belief. The first mass spoken echo tone, a version locked in logic's path. It said, you chose the rhyme and flame, I chose the scroll, the grid, the math. I built machines that bent the sky but lost the soul between the gears. You wrote in breath, I wrote in steel, I vanished with the engineer. The next mask grinned with crimson light, a poet from a warring tribe. Its voice was fierce, its tone precise, its gaze the burn of ancient scribe. I etched my verse in rebel blood, then cast it into crumbling walls. While you were silent in your breath, I broke the throne, I shook the halls. The mask began to spin again, a spiral swarm of cells unmet. He moved through them with open lungs, inhaling futures and regret. Each one a forked or fallen path, the form he never dared to claim. flame, yet each recited lines he lost while chasing truth without a name. He paused before a glass of mist, a mirror that refused to hold. His face would flash, then fragment fast, replaced by eyes too wide, too old. He asked not with a voice but thought, who sees me here and why so blurred? A whisper came without a source, because you still believe the word. Then from the haze emerged a gate not made of stone nor wood nor brass, but woven from forgotten traits, the selves he buried deep in past. The past he had to wear a face, a mask not shaped by pride or role, but one composed of every loss he'd ever hidden from his soul. He reached into the swarm of light and found the form he feared the most, a face of stillness, pain, and hushed the part of him that feared the ghost. He placed it on, the dome went dim, the wind retreated, time unspooled, and every fragment fused within the dream obeyed the mask had ruled. Now came a voice not from a mouth, but from the core of folded sound, a speechless rhythm wrapped in truth, too wide for syntax to be bound. The eye you claim is not your own, it's layered from forgotten breath. The one who watches never speaks and only wakes inside your death. Each verse you wrote was not from choice, but from the thread you dared not weave. Each life you lost, each face refused, returns to teach you how to leave. The mindfold does not show you more, it shows you what you would not touch. But once you wear your silent core, you'll find your voice was never much. The mask dissolved, the hall went dark, the dream collapsed into a sphere, a point of sound compressed and tight that rang behind the inner ear. And in that space a doorway clicked, a breathless shift beneath his spine. He felt the presence not yet seen and knew the next terrain was mine. The voice returned the same as first, a hum that moved through bone and air. Now passed beyond the face reversed, the mirror hall is stripped and bare. But what awaits is not your past, it's what you left before the fall. The mouth that forgets names now waits beyond the gate of memory's call. The scene dissolved, the ground reformed, now sand beneath the violet sky. And in the dunes a tower loomed, shaped like a throat that learned to cry. The wind would speak, then steal its word, then spin it backward into sleep. The tower called, the pulse began, and Subinac was sinking deep. Subinac stirred inside the field, half dream, half matter, undefined. His breath composed of static yield, his limbs the pulse of nested mind. He stood within a mirrored dome, no exit seen, no center found. Each wall composed of measured tone, a room constructed out of sound. The floor beneath him pulsed in waves, a carpet woven out of thought. Each step he took, he raised his name, then redefined what self had brought. He looked ahead, no eyes, no skin, just vector shaped in golden bloom. A path unfolded from within, a corridor of channeled room. He walked and every meter blinked, a meter made from spoken breath. Each verse he'd written now distinct, replayed between the life and death. A voice returned, not his, not mine. It carried tones too vast to bind. It spoke from folds within the spine, a whisper carved in quantum kind. You are the scribe who never wrote the page that read itself aloud. The mindfold opens when you float, not when you will or walk or bow. Breathe once to shift, breathe twice to climb, breathe thrice, the threshold will appear. But if you name yourself in rhyme, the gate will close and not re-clear. He moved again through shifting smoke where walls dissolved and curved in loops. He passed through rooms that smelled of books, then through a vault of silent flutes. A spiral staircase spun from light, no banister, no tread, no base. Each step he placed dissolved from sight, yet still progressed him into space. He entered now a hall of masks where faces floated mid-air still. Each one a life he might have passed, each one a dream he failed to fill. He touched the mask, it hummed his name, but not the one himself had known. It said in 12 dimensions wide, you lived and wrote then died alone. The path now shifted liquid stone, a desert made of silent screams, where every grain retained a tone from fractured half-remembered dreams. And there he saw it, black and white, a door suspended in the heat. No hinges, handle, lock or guide, just etched with symbols incomplete. He stepped before the floating door and knew that it required no key. The opening came not from force, but from forgetting how to be.
To enter now, release the name, unbind the past, refuse the frame. Say nothing, think not, speak no claim. Then breathe the verse and light the flame.
He did. Space collapsed, inward bent in chords of mirrored sound. He fell or rose through through layers blurred with thought could not define the ground. Then suddenly a world emerged, a garden built from solar breath, a biome formed in fractal curves, untouched by war, by time, by death. Subinac stood, or maybe swam, or maybe dreamed, and standing still before him statues hummed and jammed, disjointed tones that bent the will. They spoke in